Hello everyone and welcome to today's Universal Information. So today we'll be going over the brand new update 3.0 part 2. This is the long sneaked part 2 of the Universal Festival, and the entire update is centered around Dragon Ball. Like always, thank you guys so much for your support on the recent updates and all your suggestions to make the game better. We truly do look through everything and we appreciate everything that you guys say. But with that, let's start jumping into the new content. So, we have the addition of guild room decorations. You will now have the ability to customize your lounge in your guild hall with gems. That includes buying brand new decorations, picture frames, memes to put on walls, couches, or even a jukebox to play your favorite OSTs from the game for the entire guild. We hear everything you guys say when it comes to expanding the guild section of the game, and we will continue to listen to everything you guys request, so we can make UTD-Axis guilds the best on the platform. This update also features a brand new Battle Pass joining Universal Tower Defense. The third season of this Battle Pass is centered around Limbus Company, and will feature two brand new characters such as Valencia and Ricardo joining the UTD roster. You can earn XP for this Battle Pass just by playing anything in the game. Everything will grant you Battle Pass XP, so make sure to play UTD as much as possible to get this Battle Pass maxed out. This update will also feature two brand new Relic sets, one obtained from Story Mode and the other obtained from Raids. The first Relic set, which is the one obtained from Story, will make every neutral type hit on an enemy grant an additional 5% damage per hit, which stacks up to 70%. And then the accessory for that is any ally cleansed by this unit will then gain a 50% damage buff for 10 seconds with a 10-second cooldown. When it comes to the Raid Relic, the shirts and pants will make it so whenever a unit inflicts a DOT, it will buff the crit damage by 50% for the next 15 seconds, and that has a cooldown of 7.5 seconds. And the accessory for that is if a unit can Synchro Clash / Fuse when they're not in their Synchro form, they will gain 50% damage. And then when they do eventually hit that Synchro form, they will gain an extra 25% range and an extra 15% damage buff. Divine Wrath is a new Infinite Style Ultra Boss mode centered around Goku Black and Zamasu. Players must survive 15 waves of enemies while Goku Black constantly interferes, stunning and debuffing your units every few seconds. At wave 15, both Goku Black and Zamasu will then enter the battlefield. Goku Black is the main boss that the players need to defeat, while Zamasu acts as a massive support boss that will weaken the rest of your team. Once Goku Black reaches 50% HP, he transforms into Rose, and the fight really begins. Rose Goku Black summons clone enemies and periodically charges a devastating map-wide attack that can permanently hurt your run unless players find Vegito and pay 10,000 yen to stop the attack. Once you finally defeat Rose, Goku Black will then fuse with Zamasu, starting the Fuse Zamasu phase. Fuse Zamasu will have an insane amount of HP and constantly will spawn clones all around the map and can launch powerful human extinction attacks that heavily debuff all of your units and cost players to lose a base stock if not prevented. But every 45 seconds, Trunks briefly weakens Fuse Zamasu, giving the players a short damage window to attack. After finally defeating him, players must locate a Zeno button. Activating it summons Zeno, who will begin to erase the universe, and then players have only 20 seconds to reach and activate the time machine to leave. Successfully activating the time machine clears the run. Failing to do so will result in an instant loss regardless of how far you've made it. So make sure you are paying attention in this game mode, and make sure you bring your strongest characters and your strongest allies when attempting this Divine Wrath Ultra Boss. The Otherworld Hell game mode is a challenge mode that revolves around identifying and then defeating the real Janemba. The main boss is completely immune to critical hits and damage over time effects, forcing players to rely on raw damage output to even damage Janemba. Once Janemba appears, two decoy versions spawn alongside him, making it difficult to tell which is the real one. These decoys are not perfect copies, however. Players will need to carefully inspect details such as armor, pieces, skin color, and body bands, as these are visual differences to reveal which Janemba is the fake. Choosing the wrong target comes with a massive consequence. Whenever a decoy is killed, every unit is stunned for 10 seconds, and the real boss and decoys are then shuffled again, forcing the players to restart this entire process. To clear this mode, players must correctly identify and defeat the real Janemba while avoiding hitting the decoys and getting penalized for defeating them, adding a mixture of strategy and utility into this brand new game.
You mortal menace, my final judgment is now upon you.
Goku Black will be joining us as a brand new universal unit, and will work very similar to Luffy, where you will be leveling him up by using him, and will not need dupes, and instead will need XP for basically everything. Goku Black has 3 different paths that I can choose from. He has a Goku Black Rosé path, he has a Goku Black and Zamasu path where it turns into a duo unit, and then his third and final path is going to be the fusion path where they fuse into merged Zamasu. Goku Black is a multi-path unit whose power drastically changes depending on his chosen divine form. The Goku Black Rosé path focuses on clone-based pressure and overwhelming DOT damage. He constantly is summoning divine clones that spread bleed and ionize effects while amplifying beam attacks into devastating multi-clone barrages. The Goku Black and Zamasu dual path specializes in coordinated combo attacks and crowd control, chaining powerful follow-up attacks while also applying slow, confusion, and burn and radiation to enemies caught in the repeated assaults. Meanwhile, the Fusion Zamasu path transforms him into a scaling corruption monster that marks enemies to gain massive damage buffs, and he also causes chain explosions on death and periodically enters unstable god state that massively boosts his stats, ignores shields, and turns him into a temporary raid boss level threat before suffering a brief weakened recovery phase.
I'm not gonna hold anything back!
Boundless Vegito is designed to be one of the strongest boss killers in this game. His first passive guarantees a follow-up attack after every attack and gives a 50% chance to unleash a third attack immediately after, massively increasing his DPS potential. He also forces bosses to target him instead of his allies, and whenever a boss does hit him, he will completely nullify it and then counter it with 50% of its own damage. And whenever he makes a successful counter, he will get a damage boost for 30 seconds. And finally, whenever you consecutively hit a single target enemy, he will increase his damage by 10%, stacking up to 30%, and the critical hits that he applies will also apply ionized effects, which will do 70% damage. And to wrap that up, Vegito also has his own active ability where you can fire a massive beam that players can manually aim with their mouse, and this beam will last for 20 seconds and will deal 20% damage every second to enemies that are caught inside of it. Once this ends, it is on a 120-second cooldown. Overall, this unit appears to be built specifically for melting bosses through consistent and constant follow-up attacks, scaling damage on single target enemies, and his powerful boss counters.
Sorry about that. Did I catch you by surprise?
Super Gogeta kit is all about overwhelming enemies against weaker targets. He will fire an extra AoE Ki Blast after every attack, while stronger enemies make him deal double damage instead. He also has a counter ability that punishes any boss that attacks or debuffs him or his teammates with a guaranteed critical hit counter. After a minute on the field, he gets even stronger and will deal more crit damage confusion effects whenever he does crit, and a taunt mechanic that forces all enemies to attack him so he can keep cycling and looping his counters. Vegito also has an active ability, which is a big attack in a line AoE, dealing 225% of his damage and stunning every enemy he hits for 5 seconds on a 30-second cooldown, making Vegito a great wave clearing unit and also a boss killing unit that becomes stronger over time and constantly punishes enemies that try to debuff him or your team.
I'll fight you next!
Trunks is a flexible evolution type unit that can switch between two combat styles, Ki form and Sword form. Ki form focuses on range, faster attacks, and hybrid targeting and crowd control, while Sword form sacrifices hybrid in exchange for significantly higher boss damage. As he progresses through battle, Trunks evolves from Super Saiyan to Super Saiyan 2 and eventually to Super Saiyan Rage, gaining increased damage, range, and SBA buffs. In his Rage form, he can build additional damage through Rage stacks and eventually becomes immune to stuns and debuffs. Each form also has its own unique passive. Sword form builds up damage over time before unleashing a powerful follow-up slash, while Ki form specializes in slowing, burning, and confusing enemies through repeated follow-up attacks. Overall, Trunks is a highly versatile and capable unit to adapting to both boss and crowd-controlled situations. Janemba is a scaling DPS unit that's built around counters, bleed damage, and powerful follow-up attacks. Janemba can summon copies of himself after defeating enough enemies, providing an additional damage output. Janemba also gains the ability to counter boss attacks, reflecting them back for guaranteed critical damage every few attacks. He also performs a follow-up strike that applies bleed over time. As enemies are affected by damage over time effects within his range, Janemba gradually powers up and eventually unlocks his Demon Sword state. In this form, he gains a massive damage boost, stronger bleed effects, permanent slow against bosses, and the ability to attack enemies from extreme distances with no targets are nearby. He also gets an active ability, which enhances his utility even more, which allows players to manually reposition him with his teleport, and unleash a Savage Skewer attack. A powerful boss-focused attack deals heavy damage and knocks back the boss. Overall, Janemba appears to be a high-skilling unit that becomes increasingly more dangerous as the stage goes on, especially against bosses and DOT-affected enemies, giving Janemba a great amount of utility.
This is the ultimate fusion!
Unrivaled Super Gogeta is a powerful support DPS hybrid unit that is centered around team synergy and utility. His Unrivaled leader skill provides buffs to Fusion, Super Warrior, and Light Element units. Gogeta's purified energy prevents him from landing critical hits, but allows him to constantly deal bonus damage regardless of an enemy's element. He also is immune to stuns while attacking and allows him to periodically cleanse nearby allies of any debuffs or stuns that they have. His Holy Aura passive further supports the team by increasing the damage of allied units that perform follow-up attacks, making him especially valuable alongside combo-focused characters. Gogeta also is able to scale his own damage based on the total crit rate of nearby allies, turning crit-focused teams into a direct damage boost for himself. And finally, Gogeta's active Punisher Ball will deal massive true damage in a large AoE that can remove any special enemy modifiers that an enemy may have, making him a strong tool against difficult targets. Overall, Super Gogeta appears to be a versatile support unit that can carry and strengthen his team while scaling his own powerful damage for himself.
Come at me and don't hold back!
Super Saiyan 3 Goku is a high-risk support unit that becomes stronger while fighting alongside his allies. His passives allow him to build up damage and attack speed over time, while preventing a boss from removing a life stock once per run. Once he's evolved, Goku will force the stage to 1 life stock, and Goku will link himself with a nearby ally. Depending on that linked unit, he will either convert their critical chance into extra damage, or grant them free upgrades throughout the match. Overall, Super Saiyan 3 Goku is a unique support unit built around clutch situations, team utility, and powerful late-game scaling. If Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta is also placed within his range, he will be able to synchro gauge and then fuse into Super Vegito with Vegeta.
Revel in the glory of death by the hands of the Prince of all Saiyans!
Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta is a scaling DPS unit that gains temporary damage and range buffs whenever enemies escape his attack range. Once evolved, he can perform a follow-up attack when securing a kill, dealing additional damage and stunning nearby enemies. His Saiyan Prince passive rewards Team Synergy, granting extra damage and attack speed when placed near Super Warrior category units, and gives even stronger bonuses whenever paired with Bulma. Most notably, if a Super Saiyan 3 Goku is within his range, Vegeta can activate Synchro Drive and fuse into Super Vegito, unlocking their strongest combination.
하품이 다 나는군. 슬슬 지루하니까 빨리 끝내버리는 게 좋겠어.
Ricardo is a scaling DPS unit that excels in longer battles. His Middle Never Forgets passive increases the damage enemies take with each consecutive hit, allowing him to ramp up damage against tougher targets over time. Assemble periodically summons little brothers to assist him in combat. When these summons disappear, Ricardo gains significant buffs in range and damage, further increasing his effectiveness. His Brush It Off passive gives him strong survivability by regularly cleansing debuffs. If there are no debuffs to remove, he instead gains a damage boost, allowing him to continuously scale throughout a run. Overall, Ricardo is a sustained damage dealer that becomes stronger the longer he remains on the field.
그딴 자세로는 내 옷깃도 못 스쳐.
Valencia is a boss-focusing DPS unit that specializes in burn, stuns, and counterattacks. On placement, she deals increased damage to bosses and hyper armor enemies while applying burn and stun effects with every single attack. Once she's evolved, she can summon Lucio, a companion who assists with attacks and absorbs any stuns or debuffs that would normally be affected to Valencia. After Lucio is defeated, Valencia unlocks the Eye ability, which dramatically increases her power. In this state, she gains bonus damage, can dodge and counter enemy attacks, and continuously builds up additional damage through each successful dodge. She also gains scaling critical damage and periodically unleashes Disposal, a powerful follow-up attack that deals increased damage while enhancing her burn and stun effects. Overall, Valencia appears to be a high-scaling carry unit that becomes even more powerful once her summon disappears off the stage. And with that wraps up today's Universal information. Thank you all so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you have any suggestions of how to improve these, let us know down in the comments and down in our Discord server. Also, make sure to join our Discord server, which we will have linked down below, so you can get all the brand new information and all the brand new sneaks that will be readily available in that Discord. So make sure you go ahead and join. And as a big thank you for everyone who stayed through this entire live stream, we've prepared a special code exclusive to this live stream that you guys can go ahead and claim and get great rewards from. So don't forget to tune in to every single UTB information that drops from now on. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you in the next one.
Remember that. That's the way Team Gurren rolls.
But
Just do it. Listen, Simone, don't believe in yourself.
Huh?
Believe in me. Believe in the Kamina who believes in you.